Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my May wrap-up. Now, May was such a great reading month for me. It was probably the best reading month that I have had all year, so I am really excited about that. I was able to catch up to my Goodreads goal. I don't know now if I am currently caught up, but at some point in May, I was caught up. So that's pretty nice. So in May, I read 3 full books, I finished another book, and I read 6 graphic novels. Okay, so the first book that I read in May was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 3rd book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses. It is a trilogy, but she is continuing on with the series. I'm not sure if the series is going to be a continuation of, or like if it's, you know, if we're going to still be following Feyre's first-person point of view, and if it's like an actual continuation of the series, or if it's more of a spin-off series, maybe using another character's point of view. I'm not 100% positive, but I do know that the story is continuing on because it says so in the back, so I almost lost it when I saw that. I am so excited. I absolutely love this series. I love Sarah J. Maas. She's one of my favorite authors, and this book definitely didn't let me down. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I do have a book review on it, so I'll go ahead and link it down below, and I really can't say much about it because I will be spoiling books 1 and 2. So much happens in this book, so much happens that there's no way to give any sort of synopsis without spoiling any of the other books. But basically, this book is about fairies and magic, and there's a war, and it's amazing. Definitely pick it up. Next, I finally picked up Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. It's been a while since I've had this book on my shelf, over a year now, and I finally decided to pick it up, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'll probably be doing a book review on this one. I really loved the concept of this story. Basically, we follow 2 main characters, Etta and Nicholas, and both of them are time travelers, and it is a kind of like a treasure hunt through time. I really enjoyed it. I thought the concept was really unique. I liked the magic. I loved the time travel aspect of it. There was definitely a twist at the end that I wasn't really expecting. I'm really excited to get the next one. I really enjoyed the characters. Etta and Nicholas are very strong characters, very likable. Also, I really enjoyed all of the details that is put in because we go through time and it's more like historical fiction. I guess you could say like a lot of it is set in like 1776 and then the 1900s. So it was really interesting, all of the different details, like to read all of the different details of that time. Like we get a lot of information about proper etiquette, what women wore, because you know they have to fit in and stuff, and so really interesting. The only thing that I had a slight problem with is the fact that it was a little bit insta-love. It works still. It's not to the point where you're like, wow, this is not really believable. It still is, but I felt like it was just a tad insta-love, but still, I love the 2 characters together, and it's a really great story, and I highly recommend to pick it up. Next, I read A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. For the longest time, I didn't want to pick up this book just because I don't like to read a lot of books that deal with illnesses, just because I deal with that on a day-to-day at work, so I like to kind of escape that part. Anyways, this book is about this young boy whose mom is battling cancer, and one night he wakes up and there's a monster at his window, and this monster brings him on kind of an adventure to help him through what's happening with his mom. It was such a touching story. It definitely made me cry a little bit at the end. It's very sweet. It's such a beautiful story. I loved following the main characters, like journey. There's also some kind of sassy, funny scenes as well, like how the main character interacts with his dad. There's a few scenes that's a little funny there. No, I wouldn't say funny, but like there's a little bit of comedic relief, you know, like a few spots that kind of made me laugh a little bit. And it's a pretty quick read. I read it in, you know, one day. I read it in one sitting. I highly recommend to pick it up. I think I give it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Gemini by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the second story to the Illuminae files. I loved Illuminae. I have a review on it, and I will definitely be doing a book review on Gemini as well. I don't want to say too much about it because I really don't want to spoil Illuminae, but basically this story is just written in like the coolest format. It is written in video footages, like there's like diagrams, and then there's instant message, emails, pictures. So it actually reads really quickly. It reads a lot quicker than Illuminae. I feel like in Illuminae there's a lot more text than in this one. Towards the end you have a lot of blank pages. Like you get a lot of like blank pages towards the end. So it actually reads pretty quickly. I loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I think I might have liked Illuminae a little bit better, but what I loved about Gemini is that there is still a lot of science. I mean, this is definitely a science fiction young adult story. You know, it's set in space and there is a lot of science element to it, but I feel like it moves quicker because we already know kind of what's going on with the story. So of course, there's not as much world building, and so you kind of like jump in and already know what's going on, so you're not kind of bogged down with all of the information and trying to figure out what's going on. Like in Illuminae, I wrote so many notes because I was like, wait a second, what's going on? I'm so confused. I was trying to figure out all the different like names of the ships and all of the different captains, and I was like, it was a lot of information. But in Gemini, it reads a lot quicker because we already know like the overall idea of what's going on, even though it is new characters, but I really like how the old characters came back into play as well. So it's definitely one to pick up. I really loved it. I am so excited for the next one. The detail in this book is still, I'm so impressed with the amount of detail that was put into these books. It's fantastic. I really loved it, so I can definitely appreciate all of that, and I think that just, not just the story itself is a 5 out of 5 stars, but like all of the detail and the thought and the hard work that went into this story as well, to me, is a 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book I read was Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a Finnish read for me. I bought it when it first came out a few years ago, or a couple years ago, and I read it and I ended up putting it down because I feel like I just wasn't clicking with the magic system. Although I really did, and I was enjoying the characters, I was enjoying the plot and the idea, and this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which I really enjoyed, but I couldn't click with the magic system, so I ended up putting it down. And I really just wanted to finish it because I actually don't know what caught my attention to finishing it, but I did decide to finish it, and I'm glad I did. I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would, so I'm really glad that I kind of pushed through it. I ended up giving it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Basically, there is this wizard that lives in this castle or tower outside of this town, and every, 10 years or so, he takes a girl from the village to come and study magic with him, and they call him the dragon. And our main character gets chosen, and so she goes to study magic with him, and I really liked their two characters together. I loved our main character. She adapted really well to her environment. I also really liked the male protagonist because he was that brooding male love interest, which I love. I really love that character trope. So but I still stand behind the fact that I wasn't able to click with the magic system. And now on to all of the graphic novels that I read this month. The first one is Saga Volume 7 by Brian Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I love this graphic novel. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I love the science, the space element to it. I love how there's different stories. Obviously, I'm not going to go into it because it is the 7th volume. Now, I will say this is not for kids. There is, it always kind of like, I'm always taken aback when I start reading it again because there is nudity, there's language, there's lots of like romantic steamy scenes. It is quite vulgar sometimes, so kind of keep that in mind. And lastly, I read the first 6 volumes of Chew by John Layman and Rob Guillory, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I loved this comic. I thought it was so fun and unique and really interesting. Basically, our main character, Tony Chu, he is able to tell what a person has been through, or an object or a thing. Anything he eats, he can tell where it came from, like what happened, how it died, all of that kind of stuff. So he is working for the FBI and he is trying to solve different types of crimes that's going on. And it is just really, really, really unique and super cool. I really liked it. As I said, I've read the first 5 volumes, which volume 1 is Taster's Choice, volume 2 is International Flavor, volume 3 Just Desserts, volume 4 Flambe, volume 5 Major League, and volume 6 Space Cakes. So I want to say there are 12 volumes out, so I'm about halfway through so far, and I'm really excited to read the remaining of those volumes. Alright guys, well that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please comment down below and let me know some of the books that you read in May, and let me know if you read any of the ones that I did and kind of what your thoughts were on it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time in another video. Bye!